to On the Turf, hosted by four guys. Never been on the turf. Sorry, it's going to take me a little while to get used to that. Sorry for that. But my name is Arjun Ryan. And we weren't able to do our annual Pro Bowl episode last week because we were all a little busy. We will have our annual guest, Hojin Choi, on for our season finale next week after the Super Bowl. But we wanted to make sure we get all four of us here because this is the big game. This is what we've been leading to. This is the last game of football for the next 7.5 months. Hey, and man, I could not be more sad about that.
We got the UFL coming up, man. Don't sleep.
It's true.
Don't sleep.
Yeah. Can't wait for the UFL. Every time everyone's like, oh, I can't wait for XFL or USFL. And then when it comes, no one watches. Yeah. But we have the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Camille, obviously, we weren't here after you weren't able to attend after the divisional round.
I had a time conflict.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
What was it, weeping?
Yeah.
Into a pillow.
Yeah. But we are not going to talk about the Bills today.
Wait, can we get a quick what's the word? Like when someone dies, what do you give them?
Eulogy.
Eulogy. Can we get a quick eulogy on the Bills?
Listen, this is a season that will be lost to history. Wacky up and down season. Ken Dorsey, rapist apologist, ruined our team for a bit.
It's true.
Fired him at 5-5. Things were looking bleak. Pulled off some wins. Finished 5-1. Won the division. Spanked the Dolphins. There's some good things about this year. I don't want it all to be doom and gloom, but at the end of the day, it's just terrible. It just sucks.
Okay.
It hurts.
And that is the final word on the Bills for this
Nice.
for this week.
But
Let's talk about the Chiefs and Niners. We're here about 5 years ago, to talk about these two teams, and we're back again. Different quarterback, obviously, for the Niners, but a lot of familiar faces who were there in 2020 are back here in 2024. Let's start with, we don't really need to talk about, the Ravens. They screwed the pooch. Let's be honest here. So did the Lions in their own way. We'll talk about those teams in the offseason.
Josh
Let's
Allen
start.
had that defense.
Okay.
That's it.
We said no more.
We said no more.
That's it.
Straight, your initial read on the Super Bowl matchup as we head into Sunday, Super Bowl 58.
Yeah, for me, I really think it's about the Patrick Mahomes-Travis Kelce connection. We saw it before, and against the Ravens, Mahomes, Kelce over 100 yards, 11 receptions. But I think for me, the 49ers are really struggling against the tight ends and against the run, surprisingly enough. And honestly, I think I feel like the X factor for the Chiefs might be Isaiah Pacheco for me, because the 49ers are struggling against the run. They can't contain the tight ends. And for me, I think the Chiefs are pulling it together. Obviously, they didn't really have that great of a connection with the receivers. I think Mahomes was spreading the ball a little bit more. But I think for me, it's just that. It's the 49ers. Offensively, it's CMC. I honestly just don't trust Brock Purdy to put in a 3-touchdown, 0 interception game. I'm just not convinced. And at the end of the day, I think 49ers fans know this. I don't think you need a good game from Brock Purdy to keep you competitive, which is literally what the 49ers have been doing. But I'm a little worried because I feel like in the clutch, it could be an issue.
Sorry, I'd like to just respond to this because Brock Purdy, look, guys, I picked the Lions to win that game. But Brock Purdy, over these past 2 weeks in the divisional and in the championship, has shown an element of the Niners we have not seen, which is the ability to come from behind. Kyle Shanahan was something like 0-34 or something like that when down more than one score in the fourth quarter.
Right. I think for me, it's more so are you coming down? Are you coming back against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? I think it's different. You had an inexperienced head coach with Dan Campbell who's making some pretty aggressive play calls, but this is one of the most experienced head coaches in the NFL that's won Super Bowls with 2 different teams. Mahomes has won the Super Bowl a couple of times. I just don't think you play that card with the Chiefs. You can't bank.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think aggressive is a kind word for Dan Campbell's play calling that last weekend. I think egregious is a more applicable term here because that was simply some of the most awful decision making I've seen. You disagree with that?
I disagree with that.
No, Arjun, we had this conversation. You said you agreed with me.
After reflecting, I disagree though.
No,
That's the way they got there. The Lions got there on aggressive play calling.
Yeah, but but you just gotta look like. You can't just say that if I call aggressive play calls and it's got me here because I do it 90% of the time, therefore it's going to work this time.
It's not.
It might have been that 10% where you needed to play conservative. I mean, you had a chance to go.
2020.
You have no. It's really not though. You have a chance to go up 3 scores twice. You had a chance to go up 3 scores, correct? Against the Niners, who again, while they've had an ability to play from behind, it hasn't been. It's not like they're world beaters at it. It's still. Not like a Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes offense that you're going up against. You have the chance to do that, and you don't do it, and it's simply inexplicable. And again, like you were saying, Shri, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're not going to make those dumb decisions. They're not going to leave points on the board the way that Dan Campbell did. And really, I think the last 2 weeks, just like you've been saying, Shri, like the Niners have had a concerning first halves. Or concerning, at least for the Packers game, 3 quarters even. And they've needed to come from behind. You look at the Lions game, really everything just about went wrong for them. I mean, McCaffrey wasn't getting going on the ground. He had 10 carries for, I think, 29 yards. He wasn't doing the trick. Purdy looked rough. Offensively for the Lions, Montgomery was playing really well. He had a great stat line. Aaron Jones even, the Packers game, I think he had over 100 yards in the game. So you're talking about Pacheco. I think he can set the tone in the first half. And if you need to close it out, I mean, who else better than Patrick Mahomes in this elite defense? Mind you, we haven't even talked about the defense yet.
We have not.
And you want to come back on that defense? You think that's possible? I don't think it is.
Listen, I'm a jaded and bitter spirit, and there's one thing that I know at this point in the NFL is that the Chiefs are not going to lose this game. I'm sorry, Mahomes is just too good. He's just playing remarkably out of his mind. I don't. It's baffling to watch him play. He just hits every single pass that he needs to hit, and he just entered that mode where he's not going to lose. He's been here before. Him and Reed have been here before. They're not going to lose to Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, the glazing is unreal.
I'm sorry.
The glazing is crazy. I'm sorry. No, I just hate people who say
It's
that
just-
because Patrick
yeah.
Mahomes is actually just him.
No,
They're just. And the thing is, we've all year we've seen this Chiefs offense underperform and to not play up to snuff concerning past years, and they enter the playoffs, and they just snap their fingers and they're back.
It's insane. And
What?
look at Travis Kelce, what he did against
Look what he-
the Ravens last week. 11 catches, 106 yards. I've never seen that man dive around the field like that before. Like, he legitimately, I think, lost 5 years of his... Or well, not lost 5 years. I mean, he, turned back the clock 5 years and regained some magical athleticism for that game. And... What? Why are you looking
No,
at me
I
like
just,
that?
I continue.
No,
I have something to say after this, that's all.
Is it okay? I don't know what you're gonna say, but my only point is that the Chiefs just, I don't know what it is. They have some voodoo magic that they do, and it works.
So it sounds like I'm going to be the only one who picks the Niners here? Are all 3 of you picking the Chiefs? That's what it sounds like
I mean,
to me.
we'll get to it.
Okay, I'd like to hear the but. I
I'll
wanna
give
hear
my
the but.
I
pros
didn't
for the
finish my
Niners
take.
in a second, but yeah, you go.
I finished if there's one person to surmount these odds, the demigod that is Patrick Mahomes, the supernatural being that walks on this earth among us,
It's Brock
it is
Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
Maybe.
Mr. Irrelevant. Come on, man. How many
He's been
times?
counted out
So many
so
times.
many
he's been
times
counted
entire
out.
career,
We
man.
just did it right now.
Yeah.
We did.
What if he shows out and he just goes nuclear, and the Niners win this game?
Okay, so let's bring it down to the matchups, right? So, for me, I think you got to look at last year we did a deep dive on the Chiefs and the Eagles, and it started with the offensive line versus the defensive line of these teams, right?
Yeah.
Offensive line for the Chiefs, we'll start with them. Joe Thuney might not play in this game, and that's big. That's their best offensive lineman, and the tackles have struggled. I think the biggest thing, I know you guys talked about how the Mahomes and the Chiefs have flipped a switch, but ultimately Super Bowls are won not in 4 weeks. They're won over the entire year. Last year, we saw the Eagles play a lot of struggling teams and get their way into the playoffs, and we saw the Chiefs consistently be the best team from week 1 to the end of the season. I think if you look at these two teams right now, the more consistent team has been the Niners. Now, granted, that Niners defensive line has struggled. Even with Chase Young, they've struggled. But bringing it down to that matchup, I like the Niners defensive line there. I don't know what you guys think of that, but I like the Niners defensive line because they have Bosa, they have Armstead. Right there. Sorry, momentary pause.
You like the Niners defensive line? Chiefs line is playing out of the mind, dude.
I'm gonna elaborate on my thoughts. Okay. Yo, the Niners defensive line, they have Bosa, they have Armstead, they have Javon Hargrave, they have Chase Young, who's underperformed, and I just think in terms of stopping the run, this Niners team is going to be up to the task because the Niners DBs have been playing really well, especially their second half adjustments have been really good. So I think if they stop the run the first half with that defensive line, force Mahomes to pass early and often, get the ball in the hands of these. I know Kelsey's there, but you also have the best linebacker in the game, Fred Warner, who's going up against him. So if you're looking at the Niners defense versus the Chiefs offense, make it on Mahomes. Force Mahomes to pass because we saw earlier this year when Mahomes has had to pass, these receivers have not been up to the answer the entire time. So that's my initial read on the Niners defense versus the Chiefs offense. Sheree, what do you think the Chiefs offense needs to do to win this game?
To be honest, I think it's using Isaiah Pacheco and running it towards Chase Young. Like I feel like Chase Young has been like suboptimal. I don't know what better way to put it. Like he has not been playing well. I think that for me it all starts with the run game. I think for Mahomes, I feel like throwback to when they played the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl without an offensive line, without receivers, like it can be pretty ugly. I just don't think the 49ers defense is as dominant as what the Bucs defense is. And I think like the offensive line is nowhere near as bad as it was whenever they played the Bucs. I think for me, I don't care if Travis Kelce is going up against the best linebacker in the league. I don't know. There's always some trickery from like Andy Reid. If it isn't going to Mahomes, it's going to Rashee Rice. If not, it's going to like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who turns into like T.O.
He's
Genuinely. Like there are so many people on this Chiefs offense that can change the game in like one play. I just don't think like we can count them out at all. We've seen it in the playoffs the last two games. It's either Kelce, it's either Rashee Rice, it's either Marquez Valdez-Scantling, it's Isaiah Pacheco. Like there are a lot of playmakers that turn this game around really, really quickly. And I genuinely think it's just one play from the Chiefs that flips the script.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that could happen. I mean, like you said, like these players are really stepping up in the playoffs. I mean, I get what you're saying about like top to bottom who plays best, right? But when you talk about that Niners defensive line, I mean, this is a defensive line that in the recent weeks they have been torn up on the ground. And I was looking at the stats just now. They're third in the regular season. They were the third best run defense, okay? But what that doesn't tell you is that they're very middle of the pack in yards per carry. They're giving up 4.1 yards per carry, very middle of the pack. This is a team that's playing well on the run because
4.5.
No, 4.1. Or that's the Chiefs are 4.5.
Okay, yeah.
We'll get to. But they're 4.1, middle of the pack again, and I think that Pacheco in this run game can have their way with the line. And then when you talk about pressure and putting pressure on Mahomes, statistically, the best way to get Mahomes frustrated or get him out of the pocket or make him make mistakes isn't a four-man rush like the way that you're going to get with Bosa and Young. The way that teams have been beating Mahomes is blitzes, and guess who doesn't like to blitz? The Niners.
They blitz a lot in the second half.
But you can't. I mean, you got to come out swinging. Then you can't. They're 30th in the league in blitz percentage, and the way to frazzle Mahomes has consistently been to blitz him. That's what the Raiders did. That's what the Broncos did when they beat them and held this offense.
I trust the Niners to blitz appropriately though. Like Arjun said, they blitz along the second half. You gotta.
But you can't wait till the second. This is not a game that you can wait till the second half to make your adjustments.
It's not a matter of waiting. It's if you blitz the entire game, obviously the effectiveness of the blitz is going to go down. You sit for the second half, you bring it out unexpected, has the Chiefs on their toes when the game actually matters.
Sure, I think that. I mean, we'll talk about the Niners offense in a second. I'm assuming, but I think you can't let this Chiefs team feel comfortable early. And the thing is, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, they're going to feel comfortable early because they've been on this stage multiple times before. And they're coming in with that advantage, and you have to throw them off their game immediately. Otherwise, they're going to score in their first two drives, and now you're scrambling, and now you're the one playing from behind. There's no reason to be in that situation.
Anything here?
What's the topic?
Just the matchup, the Chiefs offense versus that Niners defense.
Yeah, I think the biggest development, obviously, throughout the year for the Chiefs, Arjun, you made a point about how it's consistency throughout the year. I think the difference with the Chiefs and why I don't think that really applies to them in this offense is it's really been an evolution on offense. And the biggest part of that has been their second-round rookie, Rashee Rice. First 8 weeks of the year, he really doesn't feature too much in the offense. All of a sudden, he starts to pick up, and come the playoffs, he's a bona fide number 1 wide receiver for them. And when you combine that with a Travis Kelce, who is obviously performing at a much higher level for the playoffs than he was in the regular season, and Isaiah Pacheco, who's running for a Super Bowl, like his family depends on it. MVS, who is just a very good vet wide receiver that gets good plays done, knows how to do his job, and helps out Mahomes. I think it's tough if you're the Niners defense, especially when the quarterback you're playing against is Patrick Mahomes. I like the matchups. I like Fred Warner and Kelce. I do have faith in the secondary as well, and the Niners defense certainly. They call the plays very well. I just think the deciding factor is going to be Patrick Mahomes, whether it be on any one particular drive that you need him to get. It's just not going to be enough for the Niners to overcome.
I mean, I will say, like we talked about, with the second half defense, Steve Wilkes in the 2 playoff games so far against the Packers shut down Jordan Love in the second half after a really good first half, shut down Jared Goff in the Lions after a really good first half. Consistently throughout the year, their adjustments have been good. But I think they only have the chance to do adjustments in this game if their offense gets off to a hot start. So let's talk about this Niners offense. Let's talk about Brock Purdy. A couple of key stats I'm going to throw out for you guys, all right? Number 1, the Niners are number 1 in zone run percentage, meaning their zone run scheme that Kyle Shanahan runs in his offense. Number 1. You know what the Chiefs are against zone run? 31st in the NFL. That's where the game starts. Getting McCaffrey out past Trent Williams into space. Let him cook there. Get Debo into space as well. Let the offense operate how it's supposed to be. Yak offense. Get Kittle the ball. Ayuk. Purdy plays best when he's playing point guard to all of these great playmakers on the offense. That's not to say Purdy can't play, doesn't have that extra element as he showed against the Lions with like 60 rushing yards. He can pick it up, and if he needs to pick it up, he can. But if the Niners can get off to a hot start, and Kyle Shanahan is coming out there with his best game plan ever, because he lost to this team 4 years ago. I think that the Niners get out to a hot start, hit the magic point 20, because guess what? When the Niners score 20 points or more with Brock Purdy, they are 20-0. They have not lost a game when they score more than 20 points.
I mean, listen, those stats are cute and all, but I don't know.
The data don't lie, man. Data don't lie.
I don't know, man, but there is some stat like that for the Eagles, I'm sure, last year that Patrick Mahomes just, just ran all over, and it doesn't matter.
Intro data analysis.
Like, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Well, stats matter.
But the thing is, I do agree with you though. I mean, I was just looking at it now. I was talking about the Niners run defense. The Chiefs run defense is worse than them, 4.5 yards per carry. And I mean, they played the run really well these last 2 games.
The Ravens just gave up on the run, which is an inexplicable decision.
Yeah.
11 rushes with the best running offense in the league. But
get Todd Monken back in there.
Yeah.
But I think that I really just don't know what's going to happen, because will Shanahan lean on these things that on paper say will help them win? I think that I agree with you. I think Purdy for the first half at least should play point guard. Shouldn't be trying to force the ball down the field, make big plays like that. Just run the ball, play action, and then set up your play action, set up your passes that way. Will Shanahan do it? I don't know. I feel like
that is what their offense in its essence, I think.
But I feel like there's been a concerning amount of time where I'm watching a game and I'm like, why is McCaffrey not getting the ball more here?
That's true.
Why did I not give him the ball more? He is your best player. And I don't know. Shanahan's 0-2 in Super Bowls. Is he ready for this?
Rohan made the argument yesterday. If Shanahan loses this game, he's a regular season coach.
He might be.
After losing 3 Super Bowls. After making it to 3 Super Bowls, suddenly you're a regular season coach.
Okay, no, I was just messing around there.
It's almost like just 4 games in between there, but
no, but my point is that I think Shanahan sometimes can stray away from what makes his offense tick the best, and I just hope he doesn't do that here, because who won't stray away? Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Okay, I think for me, it's like if both offenses are operating like the way they are supposed to be, which I think is like a pretty good possibility considering like the talent on this offense, on like both of these offenses. Like in the clutch, like in the fourth quarter, like I understand, like Brock Purdy has done it in the fourth quarter, but like we've seen Mahomes done it on the last drive with 13 seconds left. Sorry, Camille.
That was wildly unnecessary.
But like,
First show
my
back.
point is like the clutch gene when it comes to it is with Patrick Mahomes. In the fourth quarter, when it all is on the line, like I'm taking the Chiefs.
The Martians
any
have
day
their
over
death
the
beam
fourth-
pointed at the earth.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to say it, but yeah,
I want.
like
Is Patrick Mahomes as good as Andre Iguodala?
He
You know, I
might
know they
be.
played two different
I don't know,
sports,
man.
but
I mean, okay, sorry to interrupt you here, but going off the clutch gene, it's just, Arjun, for someone who like shits on me so
I knew you were
much
gonna say that. I knew you were gonna
for
bring
being
this
like
up.
this, for like using my stats and doing all of this.
Yeah, you're
and is
you're a
like
fucking nerd.
just watch the game, and you're like just watch the game. I mean, and now you're the one. I appreciate the stats you pulled out, but I mean, just watch the game, right? Like, isn't Patrick Mahomes on a hot streak right now?
Yeah.
Look, okay, maybe this is just.
wait. I let me interrupt here.
Yeah, go for it.
Ever
Go
since
for it.
this-
Go for it.
Ever since the start of this podcast, how many times have you doubted Mahomes' origin? And how many times have you been proven wrong? And I'm convinced it's like 5 times maybe over the last 3 years.
That's
And
true. Actually,
all five times, maybe except for the AFC Championship with the Bengals, I feel like he's proven you wrong like every time.
well, last
Am
year
I-
I picked him to go all the way, and that was the one time he proved me right when he
Yeah.
actually did something good.
Yeah.
Well, like the trend is what I'm talking about.
Why would you give up on a man that's
Why would I? Maybe, perhaps I just want it to be. Perhaps if I mean
Yes.
complete cards on the table. Perhaps I'm just fucking manifesting it into
Power
existence.
manifestation.
Yes,
Yeah.
but look, I think there's a legitimate argument.
there is?
One
for
thing
sure.
I haven't brought up, which is Vegas the line, despite people across the world talking like you three about how the Chiefs are going to win this game and how they're destined to win it. And all your Taylor Swift bullshit, whatever you,
I
if
haven't
you know,
talked
no,
about
Have we
no, I'm
even
not
brought
saying
up Taylor
I
Swift?
meant your as in the general public, not your.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but be that as it may, the Niners have still maintained. Vegas seems to think a 1.5 point advantage over the Chiefs right now. There is a legitimate argument for the Niners winning this game. It is not some
100%.
cosmic coincidence. Can only do so
Niners
much.
have
in
been
my
the
opinion.
hype team all year, though. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
They've been favoring every single game this
yeah,
season.
exactly. And I mean, this is again like if this team is doing everything right, yes, they will win. I mean, if this team sticks to what makes them tick on offense, if this team shores up their run defense, can make and blitzes and is effective with the blitz, yes, they can win this game. The Chiefs are a very beatable team, don't get me wrong. But what I'm banking on is what you were banking on last year, and that's coach and quarterback. And I'm going to even throw in defense now too, because this
Offensive
defense
line.
is elite.
That's what. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And sorry, you done?
no, yeah, I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
Okay. Go
Um,
for it.
I forgot because
Okay, well, while you think
That's-
about that,
what
while
the
you think
fuck
about
is
that,
wrong?
I wanted to
I'll
pose
ask you
another
a
question to you guys. Last thing about,
I'll
like, I
ask
think
you
we can
a-
probably do your last thing about the Super Bowl, but what's the key matchup do you guys think for this game? I'm talking like a 1v1 matchup. Like, is it a receiver cornerback matchup? Is it going to be like Travis Kelce or Fred Warner? You got to pick one matchup that you think is going to decide this game. What is it?
I'll go first. This is a little bit of a weird one, but I'm gonna pick Charvarius Ward on Rashee Rice.
I love that one. I was thinking the same thing too.
I think Warner can do a good enough job on Kelce. You know, Fred Warner has shown over his entire career he is the best linebacker in the game. I think he will bottle. I think Kelce will make his plays. Obviously, even the Super Bowl last year, Kelce was bottled up after the first drive, basically. Mahomes doesn't throw for that many yards in these Super Bowls, by the way. In the Niners' first Super Bowl, he threw a couple picks. Last year, he threw for like 160 yards. So I think it really comes down to, can you stop the other threats on this offense? MVS, I'm sorry, bro. You've been good the past couple weeks, but I don't trust you. Rashee Rice, on the other hand, you brought it up, right? He's been a stud this season. So Charvarius Ward can bottle him up. I think the Niners have a chance. They need to cover these other threats, and Charvarius Ward, do it against your former team.
you could go first, Shree. How about you?
Okay. Wait. Who's the right tackle for the, or who would Bosa be going up against?
Juwan Taylor.
Juwan Taylor.
Who leads the league in holding penalties.
That one doesn't. I don't
Okay,
like
then
that
I'm
one.
I'm gonna go with, okay. For me, it's gonna be Nick Bosa against Juwan Taylor. I think we saw him struggle against the Ravens. I feel like a decent bit. Like the Ravens were putting pressure from that end. Nick Bosa, one of the best in the league, if not the best. Maybe except for TJ Watt, obviously. But for me, I think we've seen it before. Like the theme, like if there's pressure on Mahomes, you force him out of the pocket. No matter how great of a magician he is, like an offensive line is the bedrock for your team. And if that gets disrupted, and we know the other playmakers that are on that defensive line, I genuinely think that could be it.
Okay, let's speed this up so we can do Shree's rapid fire and then picks really quick.
Yeah, you go.
Who's the Niners center?
I don't know.
Okay, does Karlaftis line up against
Trent Williams?
Trent Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so for my pick, I'm gonna go George Karlaftis against Trent Williams. I think people have really I don't think people know enough about Karlaftis. I was Jay, right? I was watching the game with him, and he shows me one of these bets online. And he's like, "Look at this dude. They have Karlaftis at a tackle for loss. That's such an easy bet against." And I was like, "Do you know who Karlaftis is? That's
a dog.
He's a dog.
That's a dog.
He really is a dog. Young absolute stud. I think he's gonna bring an energy to this game that Trent Williams is really gonna have to come to play against, because there's really nothing more powerful than
Trent Williams.
Well, Trent Williams, but also a young guy trying to make a name for himself in a Super Bowl.
That's true.
Trent's been here before. He's got a little age on his legs, but George is gonna be happy out there. So.
All right, mine is going to be a player that's been really good in these playoffs for the Niners is George Kittle, and I think he's going to be an X factor that the Chiefs have to slow down. So give me Nick Bolton, who's had a very good season right now for the Niners, or for the Chiefs. Their top linebacker. Let's see how he matches up against George Kittle. I think George Kittle probably has the edge there, but I think he's going to be a really key player to stop when you have to worry about Debo and Ayuk on the outside and McCaffrey in the run.
All right. It wouldn't be a Super Bowl if we didn't do Shree's rapid fire questions. So we'll do that in our final game picks for Super Bowl 58. Shree, why don't you kick us off with your first question?
All right. Yeah, I only have a few, but if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, where does he rank all time?
Okay, I'll go quickly. He ranks number 2. I honestly think he might already be number 2. But I think with the Super Bowl here, he eclipses Peyton. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I forgot about Joe Montana.
Yeah.
He's number 3. He's number 3 if he wins the Super Bowl here. But I think he's destined for number 2 eventually with a win on Sunday, number 3.
I'm going to go with the same answer. It pains me to put him ahead of Peyton if it does happen, but let's pray to all the gods that it doesn't.
I think he's already better than Peyton. I think he's 3 right now. If he wins, he goes up to number 2 ahead of Montana.
If the 49ers lose, are they winning a Super Bowl in the foreseeable future? I'm talking about the next 2-3 years.
Oh.
2-3 years.
I'll go first. I think it's still a very definitive possibility. Brock Purdy's young, under contract, very cheap contract for a while. I don't see any reason for them to decline and get so much worse in a couple of years, even with a Super Bowl loss.
I'm gonna say no. I think they can certainly make it back to a Super Bowl. I think for the same reasons you brought up with cheap contract. Next year they still have a lot of money. They can move around. But winning the Super Bowl against these AFC teams is going to be exceptionally hard, especially if they lose this week. I mean, not everyone's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be there every year, I hope to God. But I think I'm going to say no, they won't win another.
I'm going to say yes. I think that experience matters a lot. If they make it here and they lose, I think the NFC they're still going to be the kings of the NFC. For the same reason you mentioned that Purdy's under a rookie contract, and they can keep the rest of their team intact. So they'll be back, and if they can make it back in 2 more years, they'll win one of them, I'm sure.
Cool. This is a 2-parter. If Travis Kelce, obviously wins the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, where does he rank all time? And do you guys see this being his last Super Bowl?
He is already the best tight end of all time as far as I'm concerned. I think he's better than Gronk. I think maybe not as a pure tight end, but just as a threat, he is the best tight end of all time. I don't think this is his last Super Bowl. I think he comes back for more. Seems like he's still pretty fucking good at football, so he'll come back.
I'll keep him at number 2. I still think there's something about Gronk that's just so mystical that he clips however technically great Kelce is. And he'll come back. He's stayed many times. He'll return.
Yeah, he'll be back, and the Chiefs will make another Super Bowl, I'm sure. I think he'll be second. I still think Gronk is better. The blocking that he brought was something completely different. And also Gronk has had better playoff performances, and he's won more Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I've been guilty of this myself, but I've, there's been a lot of debate about, in the league, is Brock Purdy like a true, game manager, or is he like he's actually talented, or he's gotten some things? So I'm gonna name like a few quarterbacks from the NFL. I just want you guys to say if you're taking Brock Purdy or the other quarterback that I'm gonna name.
Okay.
Right? And like rapid, like just like first instinct. Okay. Brock Purdy or Russell Wilson?
Brock.
Russell Wilson.
Ugh. Okay, next one.
Brock
Sharice.
Purdy or
I don't know
Geno
why I
Smith?
said that.
Geno Smith. All right, Brock Purdy.
Brock.
Brock.
Brock
Russell
Purdy
Wilson.
or Kirk Cousins?
Brock.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Brock Purdy or Jared Goff?
Brock.
Wait, we're saying right now, right?
Yeah, right now.
Brock Purdy.
Jared Goff.
Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow?
Burrow. Ugh, Burrow easily.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Brock.
What?
I don't want a man made of fucking glass, dude.
Oh my God, Joe Burrow when he's on it is
What happens
insane,
when his thumb
Wait, okay.
cracks?
Also, let me rewind. Give me Brock Purdy over Russell Wilson. That was an idiotic take.
Bad take.
That was
Contrarian over here.
idiotic.
Just a pure contrarian.
All right, next one.
Brock Purdy or Aaron Rodgers?
Brock Purdy.
Aaron Rodgers.
You're such a fucker. Wait,
Okay,
come here before you
okay,
leave.
Camille,
Super Bowl prediction.
Super Bowl prediction.
Okay, you know what? The course of this episode has renewed optimism within me. Give me the 49ers over
God.
the Chiefs.
Oh my God.
37-33.
Whoa, what an amazing
Okay.
Super Bowl that would be.
What a shootout.
Arjun.
Taking the Chiefs 24-20.
24-20.
Just to spite your stupid 20-point stat, give me the Chiefs 27-24.
Shree also spied the stat, technically.
Yes, he did.
But give me the 49ers 20-17.
So just beating your little,
Huh?
just getting your little margin.
21-17.
Okay, there it is.
Fuck you. It's 20 points or more. So, but that is it for our Super Bowl episode. Just one more episode left of this season of On the Turf. Season 3 is coming to an end. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us throughout the season. Make sure to check our Instagram for our awards that will be coming out.
Yes.
That will be coming out very soon.
That will be coming out.
Make sure to check those out. I think we have some really interesting picks. I think usually we kind of pick with what the crowd does, but I think this year we have some interesting picks across all of us. Check out next week, our final episode of the season. We'll have Hoden Choi coming on, I think, to talk about the Super Bowl. And I just want to say one more thing. I forgot to say this earlier in the episode. Roll the tape quickly on our season finale of last year. Editor, also known as me. Currently, a clip is playing of me saying the 49ers were going to face the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
You said that?
I did say that.
I said
last
the
year.
Ravens were going to make it, man. I was so close. Close.
But as you guys can see, I did predict the Super Bowl last year. Did I stray from that prediction? It does not matter. But the point is that I predicted the Super Bowl almost 365 days ago. But anyway, my name is Arjun Ryan.
I'm Shriba Mkanda.
And I'm Ron Patel.
And I'm Camille M. Danny. And we'll see you next week on the Turf.